Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Roger from Delaware County. He is a Nikki Haley supporter. So my first question to you, why?
Well, if you listen to Nikki and her story of what she accomplished in South Carolina as a legislator and then as a governor, and turned around the legislative process in South Carolina and then the business climate in South Carolina, basically from a state that was, you might say, in welfare crisis to a state that's bringing in a lot of new business and industry and things like that. And then as ambassador to the United Nations, she's learned that what it takes to interact with other nations around the country. And when you talk to her and listen to her about her goal as president, she gets specifics. She doesn't just say, well, I'll lower the debt and I'll secure the border, all the things that everybody else says, but she gives details as to how she's going to do it.
She gives the why, which is so important, that what you're saying. And I'm curious, I've been around Iowa and I've been a political reporter for years now, and one of the most important things that voters feel is, can I have a beer with this candidate or a soda, something like that? So why do you think you could have a beer with Nikki Haley?
Because she believes in the everyday person. I mean, she takes time to answer any question you have. She believes in family. You know, her parents immigrated here legally years ago, and so she's grown up with parents and in a system where you learn the people. And she was successful in South Carolina getting elected against incumbents almost every time because she went out and talked to people, went door knocking and shook people's hands and got to know people.
Going into the primary, what is that most important kitchen table issue that matters to you as a voter?
Oh, there are so many right now, but for me, the national debt. You know, we've got to get our debt down. For the leverage that we're going to be under from people that are buying up our credit, it's going to be hard to do any of the other things if we're so far in debt in years to come.
As of right now, as you know, Donald Trump is leading national polls, and there is news of his 3 indictments. As a voter, does that matter to you?
It doesn't to me. You know, you have to keep in mind the Democrats have been trying to get rid of Donald Trump since the day he was inaugurated. So they will keep doing that, and they'll keep doing it. Whether he's elected or not, they'll just keep doing it. It's whatever they can find.
You are a Nikki Haley supporter, so let's say she is the nominee. Who would you like to see as her vice presidential pick?
Oh, that's a good question. As she puts it, someone who's willing to work hard and work together. She says there's too much for the president to do alone, so she needs a vice president that's going to be active and engaged, and she wants somebody that believes in the Republican issues and can stand up and get things done with her.
We've seen a lot of presidential contenders over the past few days. Has anyone surprised you? Maybe someone piqued your interest, not for the top spot, but maybe second in command?
Tim Scott has some very good initiatives and is saying some of the right things and being specific in some of his issues. I've heard him speak at an event a year ago, heard him speak firsthand, and a lot of respect for him as well.
Both from South Carolina, too. When I've talked to voters within the past few days from Iowa, they feel like there's this disconnect between Iowa and Washington, D.C. First, you agree, and second, why do you think there is that disconnect, and what does that mean?
I think there definitely is some disconnect, just from the standpoint that it's I don't know it's just Iowa, but I think anybody at the state level, it's sometimes hard to communicate with our contingency in Washington, D.C. because they have so much going on. But I respect those that come back to Iowa in my district on a regular basis and meet with people. But it appears there is some disconnect, and as Nikki said yesterday, talking about the national debt, she said it's not just the Democrats, but the Republicans and Democrats have voted to increase our debt for the last decade or last century almost. So people here in Iowa don't want to increase the debt, but yet it's happening in D.C. So there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Roger, we're just a few months away from the Iowa Caucus. What are you looking forward to most as you continue to watch these candidates and Nikki Haley in particular?
Looking to see the turnout. I happen to be the county chair in Delaware County, so we're starting to prep for the caucuses in January. And it'll be interesting to see how many people come out, how many independents we have come out and register as Republicans for the caucus, and I think we're going to have a huge turnout.
And speaking of independent voters, a Gallup poll recently found there's 49% of Americans consider themselves politically independent. What do you think can be done for your conservative to bring them over to the GOP?
I think it's just get the details of the specifics of our agenda out there. there's a stark difference in many of the hot topics between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats will try and paint us as mean, vicious people for some of the things we support, but I think when you hear the reasons why and exactly what the Republican Party stands for, we can get independence.
And finally, what is the future of the GOP?
The future of the GOP is great, and every day that Joe Biden is president, it gets better.
Roger, thank you so much.